We got it. This is,
Um,
it's our happy place. It was my mother's happy place the whole time.
it's my happy place.
This particular room was the dining room. There's like 3 rooms. I live right next door, and we have the configuration of the rooms is 3 rooms. They're over there, it's 2 rooms. But that's the studio where she painted with a north light most of the time. You'll see the various cabinets, and each one of these cabinets is filled with whatever drawer you wanted to, whether it's children or whether it's flowers or whether it's charcoals or whether it's Canada or whether it's industrial or whether it's just people or whether it was nudes or whether it was vintage. That they fill all this room up here in these architecture cabinets. They're ideal for that, you'll see. Again, this is the falls. There's one drawer here. It's marked favorites. You'll see right there.
The favorite drawer, right?
There's the pieces that we talked about, Mom. This is a piece of sculpture.
Mm-hmm. The cube.
The cube. Industry.
So many pieces. And so what Don's done through the years is he's identified the subject of each drawer. So this is industrial. Again, Polly captured an emerging industry here in Niagara Falls with her watching the construction of the Niagara Power project.
I better tell a funny story about the industrials. These are industrials. This whole cabinet is industrial. It's a different view of industry, how she did it. You see. But anyway, she was painting, and she painted and sketched around the falls, the park down there. Well, she was sketching and painting one afternoon. The park police came up to her. This was when the war was going out in 1945, maybe 46, 47. And they saw she was painting, and they didn't know her. And they didn't arrest her, but they pulled her in, so to speak. And it was in the afternoon, late in the afternoon. And one of her good friends was Mary Langs, and she also used to paint with my mother in the park. Well, the police took her in, and they took her to the police station, and they thought she was a spy, if you will. Anyway, we had to call the head of the park commission, who was friends with my parents, and they called and they said, no, she's not a spy, she paints, that's all. But she did, she used to tell people how they arrested her. They didn't arrest her at all, but they detained her.
Detained her. And I think one of the most fascinating parts of Polly painted on everything. She used every resource possible and painted on everything front and back. And so again,
all paper samples.
The only artist that we're aware of that captured the industrial development here in Niagara Falls.
Gold five charcoal. She has a large collection of charcoal pieces.
So the National Heritage Area has been working to make sure that each of these are wrapped very specially, but she has several drawers of charcoals.
We're talking about a collection of 5,000 to 10,000 pieces. And it's hard to believe that one person could do that
in a lifetime, right? It's always a source of inspiration for me.
Those are Coney crayon. It's the pastel, it's a chalk-like looking, but once it's there, you can't get it off either. So
here's another sample of that Coney crayon up here. And again, just very, I've been working to preserve all of those just individually.
I'm going to take you to a drawer one that I like a lot. But these I did a calendar of it called It's Grease for Me. And these are the original pieces that are in the calendar.
So again, Polly traveled everywhere. Sometimes we find little notes in a studio at Athens.
This is the Athens airport.
We haven't made it to this drawer yet for
No.
preservation purposes.
These are all going to be wrapped, with, if you will, or in case there's a piece right here. These are being taken off and as fresh pieces. This is just,
This is some of the material that we're using to do that.
that's just grease, but this whole drawer,
She loved Europe, so
you'll see a lot of Europe. She traveled, she loved Spain, she loved Greece, she loved France, of course. Portugal.
Don, how many years did it take you to organize each individual drawer?
Well, we're still doing it.
I know. Well, when did you start?
But I didn't start when my mother was alive painting. She just had them all together. And then, of course, I had to find the appropriate architect's cabinets where these could be stored. But again, this is very similar to the piece you saw at the Alhambra. How she traveled.
Mosaics.
They were in a sketchbook, you can see, and we took them out of the sketchbook. And now we're going to put them in fresh plastic covering and then go back in here. But you can see how she drew with pen and ink. Really very versatile. I guess the word is, when you look at Polly King, think of prolific, because you can't tag her as just this kind, but she does watercolor, she does oils, she does acrylics, she does pastels, she does Coney crayon, and she does them all. And the other area that I know the Heritage Foundation is going to really do something with is she's done like 300 or 400 portraits of people. And she has a book that she's going to be put out called The Portrait Ladies of about 145 different people. Many of them are living, but many of them are, I hope, if we have them here and there's family here, I want to get them in the hands of the family so they can enjoy them. But you're going to see a lot of portraits throughout the whole house that my mother did. Just called The Portrait Ladies.
So let's step into this room and we can show some of the portraits that we have put into special boxes. And then, Don, while I'm getting those boxes out, why don't you show the paintbrushes and why the Northern Light and where her studio is so important.
Right.
And then Matt can also capture the bookshelf over there with some of her quotes on it too.
Right. This is where she did most of her easel would be set right up here, and I have a couple pictures of her actually painting. But the different kinds of things right here, I would sit. I made it my office, but I would just sit back in here and look at things. I found a 2001 calendar done by Dufy. Dufy, I believe, out of all the very famous artists, my mother painted more like him. Bonnard and Cézanne, they were my mother's teachers, but so to speak. But Dufy, I think, used colors the same type as my mother's. This could be a Polly King piece, really, when you see this. I sit here a lot now. I just turned 90 this year, so I have 4 daughters, and they will be the caretakers of this collection someday. You'll see all kinds of things here. Sketchbooks, you'll see just all kinds of things. That's why I hope we will be getting Polly King, be well known of people, especially tourists that come through. There's a piece right there. If you can read it, what it says there, and I should read it for you, I guess. How do you keep flowers from dying? my mother said, paint them on canvas, they'll last forever. That's what she's done with them, with flowers, all kinds of flowers. And if you want to pan around and look what's on the walls, you'll see her range again. There's Pittsburgh up on top to the left there, with the bridges. You'll see, I don't know if you can, Matt, if you can show on top of the wood archway there, on top. Those are all Chagall pieces. They aren't originals, I wish they were, but they aren't. But they're beautiful pieces that Chagall did in Israel. My mother painted in Israel, and she purchased that whole group of stained glass done by Chagall. Mm-hmm. And if you keep going, you'll see nudes. She studied architecture, she studied anatomy. That's why I think she could do nudes so well and so fast. You'll see them. She painted at the University of Buffalo and Buffalo State, and they had live models. And she studied a lot while she was painting. And if you keep on going around the windows there, and you'll see a variety of things. We're so fortunate that we have Sarah Capon and the Heritage Foundation that are taking real good care of Polly's art. Sarah's looking at a piece right now, if you will. That piece was done probably in the 30s, I believe.
Wow.
I think
And you can see the two of her portraits, one of her earliest, and then one that was probably late 50s, early 60s.
We have a couple hundred portraits of different people. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Sarah can talk about the possible areas, what might happen with Polly King, whether it be in a museum or in a place where tourists can actually get access other than the King Gallery.
Sure. So our objectives for the National Heritage Area are first and foremost to make sure that we're preserving the over 10,000 items that are in the Polly King home and gallery, but also to preserve the home itself, because this was the place that Polly called home. This is where she created for over 70 years. And it should be something that lots of people can experience just for the sheer art of enjoyment, the sheer beauty, but also as a place to think about human potential and what we're capable of doing.
You know, art, you don't sell art. People know, I think, that knew me when I had the Wellesley Dress Shop for 30 years on Main Street. Now it's the Book Corner. But Polly designed, and she sketched models all the time. We had a television show on Meet the Millers in Buffalo in the late 40s. And the models wearing the Wellesley fashions would come out. My mother would sketch them as they're coming out, and also talking about the clothes that they have on. Amazing how she could be able to concentrate on the painting, doing the actual sketching, then talking about the fashion, but she did it. And we have some of the comments on tape of those shows we did. For all of you that don't need to go to college to learn how to paint, my mother used to say that someone would ask her how long it took to do a certain piece, and she said it took her 60 years to learn how to do it.